Have you ever found yourself in a moment where everything seemed to crumble, leaving you wondering if there's any reason behind the pain? Job's story is an ancient tale that dives into this exact struggle, exploring questions we all face about suffering, faith, and the strength to hold on when life makes no sense. This isn't just another feel-good story. It's a raw look at faith under fire. You'll see a man who, despite losing everything, stands firm, refusing to let go of his trust in God. What if that kind of unshakable faith was possible for you too? Most people think trust in God means life will be smooth sailing, but Job's story challenges that belief entirely. Through unimaginable trials, he discovers a strength and resilience we rarely see today, a kind of strength that transforms pain into purpose. So, if you've ever questioned the reason for your struggles, Job's journey offers not just answers but hope. We're about to unpack this story piece by piece, revealing lessons on patience, trust, and the hidden power within suffering. Are you ready to uncover the deeper meaning behind Job's story and see how it could change your life? We'll dig into what patience and trust in God really look like, and why these virtues might be the secret to overcoming life's toughest challenges. Join us, and let's see what Job's ancient wisdom can teach us about finding purpose in the storms of life. Job's story is about holding firm when life feels like it's falling apart. Imagine you're hit with loss after loss, one right after another, and you're left wondering why all this is happening to you. That's Job's life, stripped of wealth, family, and health. It's his patience, though, that's extraordinary. He doesn't try to escape or shift blame. Instead, he waits in trust, knowing that every hardship has a purpose, even if he can't see it. Here's something relatable. Like a farmer waiting for crops to grow, sometimes you're called to trust that the roots are taking hold beneath the surface, even when nothing appears to be happening. Patience doesn't mean silence or blind acceptance, though. Job wrestles with God, openly questioning why he suffers. But in his questioning, he remains faithful, showing us that it's okay to bring our struggles to God honestly. Think about times when you felt lost or discouraged. What if, like Job, instead of backing away, you leaned in closer? Job's story reminds us that questioning can be part of a real, raw relationship with God, one where patience grows through honest dialogue rather than forced quiet. Job's friends, however, think they have it all figured out. They insist that his suffering must be punishment for some hidden sin. This, too, reflects a common pitfall, believing that suffering is always earned or deserved. Job's patience, though, transcends these simplistic views. He doesn't take their judgments to heart because he knows his truth. Like Job, when you face unfair criticism, what would it look like to hold steady, confident in what you know is right? Job's story is a call to stand strong in the face of misunderstanding. In the end, Job's patience isn't about simply waiting for things to improve. It's about holding on to God even when the world around him has crumbled. He keeps his heart open, his faith alive. Just as someone climbing a mountain stays focused on each step forward, Job shows us that patience is about keeping the faith one moment at a time. Through his story, we're invited to see that often, the journey of patience is where true strength is built. Job's story goes deeper than just patience. It's about trusting God even when things make no sense. Imagine being in Job's shoes, where every bit of security, wealth, family, health is stripped away. And yet he doesn't turn his back on God. Instead, Job says, "Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him." This kind of trust is rare. It's the kind that doesn't require answers. It's like sailing in a storm with no land in sight, choosing to trust the captain knows the way, even if you don't. Job shows us that true trust doesn't depend on understanding. It rests on knowing who God is. This trust, though, isn't easy. It's not about ignoring pain or pretending things aren't difficult. Job is brutally honest with God. He cries out, he questions, and he mourns. But he doesn't walk away. Real trust means coming to God with our raw, unfiltered emotions, knowing he can handle it. Job's journey reminds us that trust is an active choice, not a passive state. Think of it like sharing your deepest fears with a close friend, trusting they'll still stand by you. Job brings everything to God, showing us that trust involves openness, not silence. What's fascinating is that Job's trust withstands even when the people closest to him doubt his integrity. His friends push him to see his situation as a punishment, and his wife tells him to curse God and die. But Job holds his ground. It's a reminder that sometimes trust in God might mean standing alone, going against the tide of popular opinion. In a world where people often feel the need to fix each other's problems, Job's story suggests that trusting God might mean resisting easy answers and choosing faith in the unknown. Job's trust eventually leads to a kind of peace, even if he doesn't get the answers he wants. He surrenders his need for control, something we all struggle with. In life, when we can't see the whole picture, there's an invitation to trust that God does. Job teaches us that trusting in God doesn't mean we'll always understand why things happen. It means believing that God holds our story from beginning to end, even when we can't see the next chapter. Job's suffering isn't just about loss. It's a test of his faith and character. When everything is taken from him, Job faces a choice. He can wallow in bitterness or grow through the struggle. Suffering, as his story shows, can actually become a pathway to greater strength. Think about the process of refining gold. It has to pass through intense heat to burn away impurities. In a similar way, Job's faith becomes purer through his trials. He emerges with a resilience that only comes from experiencing and enduring hardship, showing us that growth isn't always born out of comfort but often out of struggle. Interestingly, Job's suffering doesn't isolate him from God, it actually brings him closer. In the depths of his despair, Job cries out to God in ways he probably never would have if his life had stayed easy. This intense suffering propels him to question, to seek, and ultimately to deepen his relationship with God. There's a lesson here for all of us. Sometimes, when we're at our lowest, we're also the most open to connecting with God. It's in those moments, raw and vulnerable, that we're often able to hear God's voice more clearly than ever before. Job's story also challenges the common belief that good behavior guarantees a life free from suffering. Despite his blamelessness, he suffers immensely, turning the good things happen to good people idea on its head. Job's experience is a reminder that suffering isn't always a sign of wrongdoing. Rather, it can be an opportunity for profound growth. In fact, his suffering makes him more compassionate and understanding. So, instead of seeing hardship as a punishment, Job encourages us to view it as a potential gift, one that, although painful, can reshape our hearts to be more like God's. Ultimately, Job emerges from his suffering transformed. He hasn't just survived, he's been renewed in his faith and understanding. By enduring the unimaginable, he discovers new depths of strength and wisdom. This transformation shows that suffering, while incredibly painful, can lead to a more profound spiritual life. When we view suffering as a tool for growth rather than merely a burden to bear, it shifts our perspective, allowing us to find meaning even in the darkest times. At the end of Job's story, something miraculous happens. God restores everything Job lost, even doubling his blessings. This isn't just about reward. It's a deeper message of redemption and hope. Job's faithfulness is honored, showing that God doesn't abandon his people, even when they pass through intense trials. Job's story teaches us that, no matter how broken we feel, there is always a path to healing and wholeness. Like the sun rising after a long night, restoration comes in its own time, often in ways we never expected. Yet, Job's restoration isn't simply about getting back what he lost. It's about a deeper transformation that took place within him. He's no longer the same man. His faith, once strong, is now unshakable. He has a renewed understanding of God's wisdom and mystery. Job's journey shows that true restoration isn't about returning to what was, but rather about moving forward with a new, enriched perspective. Imagine a scar healing. It doesn't erase the wound, but marks a story of resilience and healing. Job's life, post-suffering, carries that same kind of sacred depth. Another powerful part of Job's restoration is his choice to forgive. Despite the misguided advice and harsh judgments from his friends, Job intercedes for them, praying for their forgiveness. This act of mercy is significant. Job shows that true restoration includes letting go of resentment. His willingness to forgive not only brings peace to his heart but aligns him even closer with God's own nature. In our lives, too, healing is often linked with releasing grudges and extending grace to others, even when they've wronged us. Job's redemption is a testimony to the fact that God's plans for us are greater than our understanding. After his trials, Job's life is filled with more blessings than before. Yet, these blessings are not simply rewards. They're symbols of God's loving presence through every season of life. Job's journey encourages us to trust that even in the darkest moments, God is working in ways we may not understand. His story invites us to hold on with faith for the promise of restoration that will come in God's timing, often bringing more than we could ever imagine. Job's story reminds us that faith is often shaped more in the valleys than on the mountaintops. The trials he faced, and ultimately overcame, show us that suffering doesn't have to mean defeat. Instead, it can lead to a strength and peace we didn't even know was possible. But here's the question: how would your life change if you embraced challenges as opportunities for growth? Could you trust that even in the darkness, God is working for your good? Every step of Job's journey, from loss to restoration, speaks to the power of holding on and trusting in a bigger plan. What might happen if you, like Job, placed your deepest fears and struggles in God's hands, believing that He can transform even the worst pain into purpose? Are you ready to explore that kind of faith for yourself? Ready to take your faith journey to the next level? Get your copy of the Yearly Prayer and Reflection Journal today and experience the power of daily prayer, reflection, and spiritual growth. Whether you're seeking a deeper connection with God, looking for guidance, or simply need a source of encouragement, this journal is your perfect companion. Don't wait. Start your transformative journey now, and let God's Word shape your life one day at a time. Click the link in the comments and begin living a more purposeful, faith-filled year. And if you'd like to keep discovering stories like this and growing your understanding of faith, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Let's continue this journey together,